Okay, this is going to be a continuation of the notes from yesterday. So you don't need to adjust your table of contents. You can leave it as is. What we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and do the backside of that page. So notice that the table doesn't go all the way down. I don't want you to make a full table. Just make about half a page worth of table. And at any point, you can go ahead and pause this right now and complete this table while I assume that you've already done that. I'm just going to go ahead and jump into the lesson. Okay, so again, this is the backside of topic 2. It says intersections. Two lines intersect at a point. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and draw two lines. Here's my first one. Here's my second one. I'm going to go ahead and label those lines with the following points. I'm going to call this one point A, and this one's going to be point B. Over here is point D, and over here is point C. We're going to go ahead and also label that point in the middle X. So let's recap really quick. Point A is on line AB, but point A is not on line DC. So A is not part of the intersection. However, if I look at point X is on line A, and point X is also on line DC. So I can say that point X is on the intersection of line AB and line DC. So line AB and line DC intersect at point X. So again, this theorem, what it's saying is if I have two lines and they're intersecting, then the point that they intersect at is going to be a point. And in this case, our point was point X. Okay, let's look at the next theorem that we have. It says two planes intersect at a line. In order to showcase this, we're going to do kind of what we did the other day. I'm going to have a guideline that's going right in the middle. Don't make your guideline too long, just about that size is pretty good. Make sure it's right smack in the middle. From that guideline, I'm going to go ahead and use a highlighter to make a parallelogram. From here, one of the edges of my guideline, I'm going to make a parallelogram that goes up and to the left. I'm going to make it up and to the left the exact same length. And I'm going to go ahead and finish out my parallelogram. I'm going to go ahead and extend it going the other way as well. So from the guideline, I'm going to go ahead down to the right, and we're going to go ahead and finish up that parallelogram. Okay, so my parallelogram is done. Don't color it in just yet. We're going to set up another plane. This plane is going to be a rectangle. Go ahead and make that rectangle go as high as you can without moving to the other region. And I don't like the way that turned out. Let me go ahead and try that again. And then we're going to go ahead and connect and get a rectangle on the top. We're going to do the exact same rectangle, but we're going to go on the bottom. We're going to go pretty much as far as we can. All right, now to color it, we're going to color the rectangle on the top. So my rectangle on the top was orange. I'm going to color that part orange. That back triangle that you see on the left, I'm going to go ahead and color it green. I'm going to stay with the green, and I'm going to go ahead and color the bottom parallelogram also green. And then whatever's left over, which in this case is going to be that orange region, I'm going to go ahead and color orange. And again, if you need a little bit more time, if you want to go backtrack, feel free to rewind the video if I'm going a little too fast for you on the picture here. But hopefully you're able to keep up. If you're looking at this correctly, you should see like an orange sheet of paper going straight up and down, and then like a green sheet of paper that's cutting right through that orange paper. All right, as well as those two planes that I have labeled, I'm going to go ahead and include 2 points. The first point is going to be point X, and the other point is going to be point Y. And I want you to notice that point, I also need to start calling these planes. So the orange plane, I'm going to go ahead and use a cursive M. That M is going to represent the orange plane. And for my green plane, I'm going to go ahead and label it with a cursive N. So I got plane M and I got plane N. Now that I have those, let's go ahead and look at point X. Point X is definitely on this orange plane, and point X is also on the green plane. So I can say that point X is in the intersection of plane M and plane N. Similarly, I can also say that point Y is on the orange plane, which means it's on plane M, and it's also on the green plane, so it's also on plane N. So these 2 points are on the intersection of the 2 planes. But that's not it, because also between this one and this one, there's another point here. Even though it's not labeled, technically there's a point there, which is also in the intersection of the 2 planes. In fact, there's all these dots that I'm missing that are part of both planes. And remember that these planes extend out, and so technically I have a line that extends that's part of both planes, okay? So we're gonna go ahead and draw in that line. This is where the 2 planes intersect. And because of that, I can say plane M intersects plane N at line XY. Okay, and for this last one, we're going to need just a singular plane. Wait, before I move on. So basically what we just showed was that whenever I have 2 planes intersecting, they're going to intersect at a full line. Okay, make sure that you include the arrows when you draw that line. All right, and then the last one says a line and a plane can intersect at a point or a line, which is kind of vague. They're saying like, oh, it might happen at a point or it might happen on a line. So what are we looking at? Let's go ahead and draw a plane. Usually a plane we draw with a parallelogram. So I'm going to go ahead and draw this orange sheet of paper like this. We are going to go ahead and color the entire plane. And I'm going to go ahead and call that plane Z. There's my cursive Z. So plane Z is right there. On plane Z, I'm going to go ahead and draw a couple of lines. So we're going to draw a line going this way. I'm going to draw a line going this way. Oh, just kidding. Don't want that second line. I got a little ahead of myself. Let's go ahead and worry about that first line. That first line is going to be, I'm going to go ahead and label some points. It's going to be point C. This is going to be point D. I am going to draw another line. Well, before we do that, that line that I just drew, line CD, you should be picturing like a flat sheet of paper and me drawing a line on that orange sheet of paper. So line CD is perfectly placed all the way through on that plane. Every single point on that CD is touching that plane Z because I literally drew it on the plane. This other line that I'm going to draw, though, it's going to be like that pencil or that arrow is that example we did in class the other day. So I'm going to draw an arrow going right through this orange plane. Here's part of the arrow that you can see. The other part that you can't see, I'm going to go ahead and put a dash. And the part that's kind of sticking out, we're going to go ahead and continue it like this. Okay. Sorry for the little crookedness there, guys, but it's been a long day. And let's see, I got a point right here. I'm going to go ahead and call that point A. This point down here, I'm going to go ahead and call it point B. And then this point right here, I'm going to go ahead and call it point X. All right, let's talk about the intersections of these lines. Let's talk about this first one here. I want you to notice that on this line right here, line CD, point C is on the plane. Point D is also on the plane. Point X is on plane Z. In fact, all of these points are on plane Z. So when I ask, where does line CD intersect with plane Z? Well, it intersects everywhere on that line. So we're going to go ahead and write plane Z intersects line CD at line CD. Because that entire line is on the plane, then the entire line is the intersection of the plane Z with line CD. Let's take a look at the next one and see how this changes a little bit. So this one's one that's piercing. First thing, we're going to look at line AB. First thing I want you to notice that point X is in fact piercing and touching and going right through plane Z. So it is on plane Z. However, point A, even though it looks like it's drawn on plane Z, it is not, because what you should be thinking of point A as like a almost like on the tip of the arrow. It's floating like just above plane Z on your arrow. Okay. In fact, the way you can think of it is like, what if it was over here, right? It's popping out through the paper. So this is higher than the plane. Like maybe not much higher, but it is higher. In fact, on point B, it's clear like, oh, this is not even close. It's way underneath the plane. Okay. So the only place on this line where it's actually touching plane Z would be right here, right where it intersects, right where it crosses through. So point X. We're going to say that plane Z intersects line AB at point X. All right, that takes care of our table for the first three examples. We're going to need some additional examples down here. Take your time, go ahead and press pause and copy this down. I'm going to assume you already did that and just go ahead and move. We're going to go ahead and continue this by drawing a box. So let's go ahead and draw a box. If you don't know how to draw a box, it's pretty simple. You're just going to go ahead and draw a regular size rectangle. People do it different ways. Some people draw two rectangles, and if you know how to draw a box by using the two rectangle method, by all means, go ahead and do that right now. If you don't know how to draw a box using the two rectangle method, my personal method is to draw 4 lines going up and to the right. And these 4 lines are all going to be the exact same lines going in the exact same direction. I don't know why, but for me, it was always easier to do it this way than to do the two rectangle method. Once I have those 4 lines up and to the right, and they're all the exact same length, then all I do is I connect the points. So this is going to go down, this is going to go straight across, this is going to go down, and this is going to go straight across. And it makes a good looking box as well. Okay. Either method, whatever you feel more comfortable with, go ahead and roll with that. Let me go ahead and put in the points as well. This is point A, B, C, and D. And over on this side, I got points E, F, G, and H. All right, let's go ahead and look at the first question. It says, name a point coplanar with points B, G, and H. So because I want it coplanar with B, G, and H, I want to see what plane B, G, and H lie on. So here's B, here's G, here's H. If I look at those 3 points, it looks like that's part of the bottom of the box. So I'm going to go ahead and highlight this plane, which is the bottom of the box. You can pick any color you want. I'm going to go ahead and pick orange. We're going to highlight that bottom plane. And I'm going to say coplanar with points B, G, and H. I'm going to highlight that just so I know, oh, they're talking about the bottom of the box. So again, I want a point that's coplanar with B, G, and H. Well, I got B here, I got G here, I got H here. If I need it to be coplanar, I need it to be part of that plane. And the only other point that's also part of that bottom plane is point D. So if I want it to be coplanar, I need to pick point D. Point D is coplanar with B, G, and H. Let's take a look at the next one. It says, name a point non-coplanar with B, G, and H. Well, I just did B, G, and H. I know B, G, and H is that bottom part of the box. But this time they want something to be non-coplanar, which means I don't want it to be on the same plane. So take a minute, no, take 10 seconds and think, what point could I pick that's not part of that bottom region? And hopefully you picked point A, or you could have picked point F, or you could have picked point E, or you could have picked point C. Any one of those 4 points would have worked. I don't care which one you pick, any of the four would be correct. I'm going to go ahead and say point A just because that's the one that most students would pick first. Point A is not coplanar with B, G, and H. All right, let's keep going. Name the intersection of planes FEH and BDH. So let's see, FEH. I'm going to go ahead and highlight FEH. FEH. That looks to be like the right side of the box. So I'm going to go ahead and color the plane on this right side. And because I haven't highlighted that yet, I'm going to go ahead and use a different color. I'm going to go ahead and highlight this green. All right, so that's plane FEH. And the other plane that they're asking me for is plane BDH. Let me go ahead and highlight that. BDH all look to be like the bottom portion of that box. And I've already colored that orange. So instead of recoloring it, because I know that this is orange, I'm just going to highlight this portion orange. I know that plane BDH is that bottom plane. So now I want to know where their intersection is. This is where students can get a little confused. Where is it getting painted twice, right? Or where are those two lines intersecting? Well, some students are going to say like, oh, well, they're both touching right here at G. And you wouldn't be wrong. They're definitely touching at G. It's both orange and green at G, but it's also orange and green at H. So it's G and H. But it's also this point right here, and this point right here, and this point right here, and this point right here. And remember, that we said earlier that two planes intersect at a line. So because it intersects at a line, I got to continue this because these planes extend forever. Okay. So they actually are intersecting on this line right here, GH. That's going to be what I'm right. I'm going to say planes FEH and plane BDH intersect at line GH. And then our last question, it says, name the intersection of line AB and plane CEF. Line AB, that's this line right here. But remember, it's a line, so it's got to extend, and we got to put arrows on it. Because I have not highlighted that yet, I'm going to go ahead and highlight that one in blue. Here is line AB. And I want it to intersect with plane CEF. CEF looks to be like the top part of that box. So I'm going to go ahead and highlight the top part of the box. I'm going to do that one in pink. CEF. There we go. And I'm going to see, where did these cross? Well, here's this line, and it looks like this line is only touching right here at this corner, which is only a singular point, and I'm going to call it point A. So line AB intersects with plane CEF at point A. All right, that's all the notes for today. Hopefully your notes looks like this. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask.